Hey everyone, welcome to today's Learn with Launch. I think I can actually say Learn with Launch at lunch now because it's 12 o'clock. That's lunchtime, right? It is really good to have you all join us. We're live on LinkedIn and we're live on YouTube. You'll be able to watch both of these back as well. So do share with colleagues. Today, we are talking all about the learnings from the Meta Marketing Summit. So before we get into that, let's just do a few intros. And our fun fact today is whether you're a dog or a cat person. So kick off. James, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm James, Senior Paid Media Manager at Launch, specializing in paid social, everything going on in the world of Meta, TikTok, LinkedIn, all of that good stuff. It's a hard choice, cats and dogs. I mean, I would say cat, partly because that's what I've grown up with, but I do enjoy, after a hard day's work, going back home and there's a cat there who all they want is food and attention. And to be honest, I can relate to that quite a bit. So yeah, I'm a cat person and I'll pass over to Alice.
Oh, is Alice there or was Alice frozen? I tell you what, I'll intro myself first while Alice's internet catches up. I'm Jaye. I'm the founder of Launch.
So I'm Alice Bray.
No, she's back. She's back.
Senior Paid Media Executive specialising.
We lost you for a moment there, Alice. Start again.
Oh no. Okay. I think we're okay. I'll start again. So not a great start. So I'm Alice Ray. I'm a senior paid media exec, also specialising in paid social. So I'm all about, same as James, all about the world of Meta, Pinterest, LinkedIn, all of that. That's my jam. For me, this is one of the easiest questions I've ever had to answer. I'm very much a dog person. I'm currently in a house with 3 dogs, so that was extremely easy for me to answer.
Amazing. And don't worry, Alice, we all have a few technical issues here and there. So I'm Jaye. I'm the founder of Launch. I host these almost every Friday. And then if we've got an event on, maybe we'll skip a couple. And I am a dog person, which you can see there. That is the most relaxed dog in the history of dogs, Biscuit the cockapoo. So let's get cracking. First of all, the biggest question I want to know is, what is the Meta Marketing Summit? Why do people go? What is it? Who is it for? Tell me a bit about it. James, tell me first.
Yeah, for sure. Meta Marketing Summits are really good opportunities. They happen throughout the year on different topics. And it's not just for media buyers, it's for everyone. I think it's a great opportunity for us using their platform. I think it's also a great opportunity for our clients and everyone interested in the industry to have a great opportunity to see what's going on, to be able to get insight into the largest social platform with 3 billion active users a month.
Wow.
Is an incredible opportunity. This one in particular was almost celebrating their 20th anniversary as well. So 20 years of Facebook, which blows my mind a little bit and scares me a little bit at the same time. But it was a great event, really good in regards to everything going on in the world of AI, how Meta's using it, how we've been using it without even realizing, but then also how the landscape's changing, how we need to be using AI more, we need to embrace it and collaborate with it, and how the future of media buying and biddable media is going to change over next months, years. It was really interesting. So hopefully we've got some great insights about it.
Nice. And Alice, was it one of your first Meta Marketing Summits? No, we might have lost Alice again.
So I've actually not been to one before, so it was a really fantastic one. Oh no, I'm showing up on mine. Let me know when I've come back. I never have any problems with my internet. So it's so typical that it's happening. Am I back?
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. I never have any problems with my internet, and it's so typical that today is the day when it's chosen to play up a bit, and I'm going to blame the weather. So no, it was my first marketing summit, and it was a fantastic one to go to, especially given that it was, 20 years of Facebook, and I find the concept of AI in marketing incredibly interesting. So it was a really good one to be able to go to as my first one, and I think we both came away with some really kind of interesting little tidbits that we can't wait to share.
Awesome. So we're going to get into that in a minute, but just to set the context a bit, Launch does these because we're lucky enough to have great relationships with our media partners. We get invited to Meta events, we get invited to Google and Pinterest events. And what we want to do is be able to share that with our community, with the community of marketers who follow us on LinkedIn. The more, the merrier. So do tell people about our LinkedIn and our YouTube channels. But we want to be able to empower other marketing professionals to really get the most out of the advertising platforms. Always as a part of working with Launch, we're empowering our clients to understand what we're doing so that they are able to feed into the strategy and we're able to get a really good result. So that's why we do this. It is a lunch and learn, and do make sure you subscribe so that you come along to the future ones as well. So you've already mentioned AI, and that definitely is the talking point of the moment. I mean, the question here is about Advantage Plus products. Some of our audience will be familiar with that, perhaps not all of them. What I'd like you to do is explain what Advantage Plus products are and how you see AI bringing along the evolution of that and what it will look like. James, do you want to kick us off with that?
Yeah, for sure. So Advantage and Advantage Plus, as we know it now, is a relatively new product offering in the sense of it's been around for about 2 to 3 years now. It all came about in early 2022, where we'd been used to manual campaign setups, going in, what do we want to optimize for? Is it traffic, engagement, conversions? With that, there was a lot of confusion, and often with smaller agencies, it's quite time consuming to go through and build out these campaigns, full stack campaigns, to actually get what you want and what is valuable to your client or your business. So Meta introduced a few products called Advantage, and it started out by effectively doing 3 things. One was to optimize the campaigns, make it easy for small agencies to get on their platforms, get valuable campaigns out there into the mass market. Second was to make it personalized, so to allow Meta to leverage its billions of touch points to understand what its users are engaging with, what they're more likely to engage with, and what ads you're loading on the platform, how it can tweak those and then deliver those on, say, Instagram or Facebook or feeds or stories. Something that previously had been quite manually time intensive, now Meta was allowing us to take a step back and actually allow it, put our trust in it to do those automatic things for us. And then the third point is efficiency, in terms of we dictate, what we'd like, whether it's new customers, conversions, leads, and allow the algorithm to effectively deliver those ads in different places, which as marketers means our costs are lower. We're not wasting ad spend on areas that we may have assumption might work, but Meta knows far better than any of us in terms of actually that's perhaps not the right place. It's been an evolution. It really has. And where we are today in terms of the Advantage Plus suite, we're at a point in time where we have so much data, we have so many users. Meta's doing a really great job at allowing us to simplify our objectives into whether that's sales, leads, traffic, and then also leverage big data in the sense of using the algorithms to find our customers. We can give it signals in terms of what our audience might look like to add that little bit of control, but it allows us to pay more time on the results, what's happening creative, something that previously I think a lot of my media buyers have been quite time poor about, simply because it was such a big time sink to actually build these campaigns. So it's been an evolution, and where we are now and where Meta is going is almost putting the creative back in paid social.
Interesting.
An industry
that's a
where
nice little sound bite there, James, putting the creative in paid social.
Social platforms, we use them because we want to see what's going on in the world, whether that's friends, family, or just anything. We want to see with our own eyes, whether it's videos, content, all of that. That is the foundation of these social platforms. And as paid social experts, we need to make sure that actually we give that to the users. We're adding value to the users, not just plastering ads all over for the sake of it. So Meta's really pushing this sense of giving us the freedom to focus on creativity and allow us to then collaborate with AI on a larger scale than before.
Interesting. Alice, I'd love to get your take on the creative side of things and how you see it play in your day-to-day role, because your background was quite creative, wasn't it?
Yeah, so my background is very creative. I've got a degree in textiles, and that was very much kind of the basis of where I've come from. And within my role now, I still do quite a lot of creative bits. And it was really interesting talking about one thing that I really came away having noticed from the summit was the importance of creative diversification. And that doesn't just mean, oh, I'll put one ad up that's got a blue background and one ad that's got a green background. It's about the importance of really making sure that your creatives have, you might put up a reel and then you might do a carousel post and your copy would also be different. And although you are aiming to still get sales, for example, it's by going for completely different things, and that helps Meta target more of your audience. And one of the stats that I found really interesting is that 56% of all of the auction outcomes are determined by the creative. So it's really interesting. It's not just about who is the biggest spender wins, which I think is really interesting, and it has felt that way for a long time. And I think it's really interesting that Meta is now shifting to actually, it's the value, it goes back to what James was saying, it's the value of what you're giving to the platform. And that's what Meta want to see. Meta want to be putting out good adverts. They want to be putting out adverts of high value that people are going to be able to get something from. So I think that I found it really interesting seeing what they said about the creatives and how creativity is almost the new targeting with this AI.
Yeah.
And I like that idea. And from a conversation that we're having with our clients, and actually at the big event that we did last week that was all about conversion optimization, about a customer first strategy where you're looking at the whole customer journey, where Meta and Meta ads are part of that customer journey, making sure that that creative emotionally resonates with your potential customer. We're seeing that a lot more in our conversations, being able to do, Joe, our head of conversion, as you know, will be doing lots more customer insight studies to be able to get an understanding of what it is, what creatively is resonating with the clients. We're using all sorts of ad testing tools at the moment, so that we can then get better results from this AI-driven campaigns. How about the role of data, James? How important is it that those, you were talking about signals, and I don't know, I often hear people in the team talk about micro conversions. How important is that data play piece?
Yeah, massively. Data plays a huge part. It's what we see that effectively allows us to validate our results. We can look at, and a lot of what we do is looking at social sentiment in terms of actually users on the platform, what are they commenting, what are they reacting, how are they resonating with the content. But in terms of looking at Meta when we build our campaigns, that's running off data. At the end of the day, is click-through rate going up? Is our cost for a click going up? And these are all different things that influence what Meta does. Having said that, when we use AI more, we need to be more conscious of how we control it, in terms of, often we may just go, yes, let's use an AI-driven campaign. But say, for example, our product offering is an alcoholic beverage. we can't serve those ads to people under the age in certain regions. That's something that we know, but potentially the AI doesn't. But then when it comes to the data aspect, a lot of time is spent validating data. Is it accurate? Is it an accurate reflection of what's happening? That incorporates data teams massively to make sure we're actually looking at the right numbers to guide ourselves and make these decisions and look at strategies. But then also it's that aspect of when users do land on our landing pages, our clients' pages, websites, that's a whole nother ballgame. Now we've got traffic there. How do they interact with the site? And the only way we can really see that is from analysis, CRO, data measurement, all of that. Something that was mentioned in the summit was how Meta's always talked about the big five or performance five. And it's how we build our campaigns, how we optimize them, right through to the quality of data we get on the other end. That typically has always been about driving conversions, driving purchases. Where we're going now is more looking at customer retention, lifetime value, and it's taking that next step of going from siloed paid media into actually working collaboratively with our clients to build out a full funnel. We've gone from rigid funnels to now the dynamic funnels. Every user is different. So data, it plays a massive role in what we do. But the key aspect that I always look at is data is amazing. Seeing these metrics is amazing to guide us. But we need to remember that these are people at the end of the day. These are users of a platform just like ourselves. We need to create content that we look at and go, yes, I like that. If that popped up in my feed, that adds value to me. So there's the aspect of adding human data, and that's the important bit.
And I've seen the output of some of the studies that Joe has done where, because obviously our clients' customers don't all look like us or behave like us. And so using Userlytics or platforms where we're able to get that real-time sentiment and do ad testing from that perspective. And it is great to hear. One of my favorite things was a website usability study where we had 10 people, in a focus group going through the experience of one of our travel clients and understanding where there were things that they didn't understand on the site, rather than just seeing that they're not clicking somewhere. It was the copy that was confusing them, not where the button was placed. And that, actually getting that real-time feedback is great. Becky, your captain of your team, has popped up with a question here. And I think that this is a real bugbear of Becky's, is there are lots of opportunities that AI is bringing and that you've learned from the marketing summit is coming around the corner. But as Becky says, what do brands need to be aware of when it comes from these auto optimizations? I think there was an email into Urgent last night that I noticed. Dodgy music gets applied and all sorts.
So the auto optimizations in some aspects are fantastic and they're great and they can provide a lot of value, but it is also very important. One of my kind of go-to statements is that AI does not know your client better than you do. And that is where we see the problem. So, for example, if you have a lovely lifestyle brand, it's probably not best to put a story up with heavy metal music behind it. But sometimes AI makes those kind of mistakes because it's still learning and it hasn't got quite the capabilities that we do yet, which is obviously a good thing at the moment.
There was an amazing example that cropped up the other day. I think Tom, our head of marketing, who sits behind the scenes in these recordings, might actually even have an image of this terrible advert copy. Here we go.
This is one that I got suggested. So anyone who's created an ad recently within Meta will see that if you're writing in English, you will get sort of suggestions because you have 5 options for primary text. And Meta will suggest, based on what you've written, here's what you should write. And these were ads that I was creating for our client, Iceland Air. And whilst they do have, you know, a fairly relaxed tone, it's not quite this. This is not appropriate. And I shared it in our chat, our team chat, and everyone found it extremely funny because it is a perfect example of completely misunderstanding the point, like completely missing what the tone that you're trying to get at, completely missing who your audience is. You know, I can't even fathom what the results would be if we did put this out.
Oh my gosh, it made me laugh out loud. But there are so many things that are hidden behind the scenes within the platform that that without even realizing auto apply music gets played. They put tick boxes in different places, and it is very frustrating. But from a positive point of view, I think at the Meta Marketing Summit, you were telling me that there was an emphasis on collaborating with AI rather than relying on it.
I do think
talk to me a bit about that.
I do think recently there's been almost a little bit of people going, oh my God, AI is going to come in and then I'm going to be out of a job. It's going to come in and do it. But an example like the one we just had up proves that's not going to happen. And I think that we need to see less of it being, oh my God, it's going to take over our jobs, and more it being actually in, let's say 50% of instances, it can actually just really help. It can just take a little bit of the workload off. It can, instead of, a lot of the time, those AI generated suggestions for the text, a lot of the time they are helpful. And a lot of the time it might be that you take half of it and then you add in the other half so that it fits your brand. And sometimes that can be really helpful because instead of sitting there going, oh no, I need to write 4 more primary texts and I don't know what to write, you get these suggestions, and that can, take away, that can save you time.
It means that you can then spend more time analysing the results, forming new ideas and hypotheses for experiments that you're going to run, and also strategizing with the client about whether it is delivering what they need it to deliver. I mean, that's win-win. James, what was your takeaway on this idea of collaborating rather than relying?
Yeah, I like it. It's a good way of putting it. AI has been around for quite a while, and in more recent days, it almost feels like it's popped up out of nowhere. But the reality, it hasn't. It's just more we're able to use it and add personality to it. So as Alice is mentioning there, it's a really great tool to give us prompts, to jog our memory, to jog our thoughts about particular things. But where the collaboration comes in is almost embracing it, almost as if you had someone next to you looking over your shoulder saying, have you thought about this? What about that? And often it can be looked at that AI is either going to take over our jobs or mean our jobs are easier and we have more free time to have cups of tea, which would be great. But the reality is it's more of an evolution of how we work.
Yeah.
So
how does it play into testing? We talk a lot at launch about testing, whether you're testing creative, testing campaign strategies. How does what you learned at the Meta Marketing Summit and the talk about AI help when it comes to testing and learning?
It does. It's exciting, is the way I put it. Typically now, testing is something we want to always do more of, but we don't necessarily always have the capability to do it. One from an execution point of view and another from a measurement point of view. Now, in an ideal world, we'd love to test so many different things, from button colors on ads, if that was possible, to background colors, to is it in caps lock, is it lowercase, doing 50 million different iterations and constantly beta typing on what works best. But the unfortunate reality is the amount of time and resource that would take to produce and execute. Most agencies we don't have that because it would take a lot of time. So we focus on more of the macro, whether we optimize for a click or a page view or conversion. So to have this future, which Meta talked a lot about, where we're using generative AI, which is something that's being rolled out more now in terms of if we provide a square image, it can generate the size to then display it in landscape placements or generate expand the image vertically to make it more native in vertical placements. To have,
we did once have a terrible example of that a long time ago. I mean, we think that AI is something that we've just started talking about in the last couple of years. I mean, I've been doing this 12 years, and about 10 years ago, we had an example of a Google display creative that was using that kind of generative AI to, except it wasn't called AI, I think it was called machine learning or something like that then. And it took a skyscraper ad that was slightly too short for the longer form skyscraper ad, and it stretched it out, and it turned a logo that was 3 balls into something that wasn't really fit for and you know, we saw it, and the client saw it, and obviously was furious, and Google used that as an example to their department of where this was not working well, to be able to learn and get the generative AI to work better. I do know there are terrible examples of it still in play now, but like you say, if you don't have to then test 45 different sizes of ads, and you get a bit of AI help behind it to increase the size of the background, let's say it's an ocean view, that is going to mean that you can show in more places to more potential customers and get those data points. So I can see how it plays in, but that story was a terrible example of it working 10 years ago anyway.
Yeah, there's something that Alice picked up on, which was instead of buying ad space, you're now buying outcomes, which I think is something quite interesting.
I think there were quite a few of those which I found really interesting, where it was there was a slide and it was kind of saying about what we did versus what we're going to do. So for example, it's like, instead of what we used to do was kind of look at past behavior and kind of predict, like from past behavior, like what do we think is going to happen. Instead now with AI, we're doing like predictive analysis to kind of guess like what are you going to do, instead of what have you done. And instead of, you know, us spending time doing daily campaign optimizations, it will instead do automatic optimizations. And I think it's very important to stress that none of this is going to happen tomorrow. It's not going to suddenly be that we come in on Monday and, oh, all of this is done for us, lovely, okay, job done. Like this is going to be probably, I'd say, 3 to 5 years slow rollout, and which is, you know, really good, because it means that, you know, things will, as any kind of new technology rolls out, there are going to be teething problems, just like we found with heavy metal music being applied to a lifestyle brand or things like that, where we are going to gradually find, oh, okay, there are problems.
Yes. Yeah, it's super. This has been really, really insightful. We've only got a couple of minutes left, so this is a shout out to anybody who would like to ask a question to the team now. If you're either on YouTube or in LinkedIn, you should be able to put a comment in. It'll come up, and we'll be able to ask that question live now. There's a little bit of a delay, so between us recording and it appearing on LinkedIn. So do ask a question if you have. We've got a pre-prepared question that Tom very expertly has put on the screen. This is a great question, because what should marketers be thinking about doing now to make sure they are ahead of the curve? James, should we come to you first?
Sure. The first thing I'd say is that automation is essential for maximizing efficiency. It's the way the industry is moving. More users are coming onto these platforms, so creating cut through is more important than ever to get past our competition. So leaning into this automation, these automation tools we have, is going to be essential to doing all these different optimization tests, hundreds of different creative tests relevant to each individual user that an ad serves on. So the main thing I would say is to embrace it. There's often that idea of fight the AI. It's coming to take our roles, but I'd say embrace it. It's going to make our roles change and evolve, but all for the better, and for the users on the platform for the better.
Nice.
Adding into that, AI is so powerful, but it needs, and it's something Alice mentioned, it needs that human aspect. We know the client better than AI does, so we need to steer it in terms of what are our guidelines, what kind of users do we have or would like in the future. Adding that human element is always going to be there. So to lean into your clients and really understand what their goals are, so how we can use these new tools to maximize getting them the results they want, but also making that sustainable on a longer term basis.
I think the only thing that I would add to that is make sure that you keep experimenting, keep testing, and keep trying new things, but then don't just do it, be like, oh, I'll just try that. Make sure that at the end you then measure your results, because you can add in all the tests you want, and if you don't measure your results at the end, you're going to have no idea what it actually did for you. So keep testing, keep measuring.
Yeah, it definitely is something, as we see. I mean, we've been having this conversation with all of the media platforms for 6 years plus now, about the role of machine learning and AI coming in. The focus for us is that strategic eye to the campaigns, making sure that the business goals are understood. There was conversation this week about with the retailer, which categories have the most amount of profit, and then setting up the campaigns to be able to deliver a profit-based approach, not just a ROAS-based approach, because ultimately profit is king, isn't it? So yeah, I'm excited. I'm really glad that you guys attended that. I'm glad that you brought all of those insights to our audience. There haven't been any questions, which means that you've either been very thorough with recording it, or maybe people are going to go and watch the Meta Marketing Live themselves. I'm not sure. What I would say is that our big event that we did last week had some amazing talks from Pinterest, for example, a platform we haven't spoken about today, but is fast on the heels with very high intent shoppers as a social media platform. I would say probably a social commerce platform more than it's only social in a certain respect, but we are seeing some great results from that. And Maria did a great talk at our event last week. So do scan that QR code and download the resources. There's a brilliant PDF guide, but we also recorded every single talk, and it's great value to everyone. Any closing thoughts, James or Alice, on before we wrap up?
My only closing thought would be don't be scared of AI. It's definitely not something to be scared of. It will enhance what you do, and just don't be afraid to test and try things out.
Amazing. Any closing thoughts from you, James?
I fully agree with what Alice said.
Nice. And we'll have to carry on debating the dog versus cat. I think
absolutely.
More pets the better, hey?
Yeah.
Thanks everyone for joining us, and do reach out if there's anything that we can help with. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.